What is the purpose of sacraments? In Christianity, sacraments are sacred and symbolic rituals that embody profound spiritual truths. Rooted in the teachings of the Bible, sacraments are outward signs of inner grace, representing God's presence and working in the lives of believers. Jesus Christ, the central figure of Christianity, inaugurated sacramental practices during his earthly ministry. Baptism, one of the primary sacraments, is rooted in the biblical accounts of Jesus' baptism by John the Baptist in the River Jordan. Matthew chapter 3 verse 13 to 17. This event reveals the divine significance of baptism as an outward sign of inner cleansing and spiritual rebirth. The Lord's Supper, also known as the Eucharist or communion, finds its origins in the Last Supper that Jesus shared with his disciples before his crucifixion. Matthew chapter 26 verse 26 to 30. During this meal, Jesus instituted the sharing of bread and wine as symbols of his body and blood, given for the forgiveness of sins and the establishment of a new covenant. The significance of sacraments. Sacraments hold deep significance in Christian life as they are considered tangible expressions of God's grace and presence. Through these rituals, Christians experience a profound encounter with God, participating in his redemptive work and drawing nearer to him. Signs of God's grace. Sacraments are visible signs of God's invisible grace. Baptism is symbolic of believers being cleansed of sin and being welcomed into the community of faith. In the Lord's Supper, Christians remember Christ's sacrifice and partake in the spiritual nourishment of communion with God. 1. These sacramental acts serve as reminders of God's love and the promise of salvation. 2. Means of spiritual renewal. Sacraments bestow spiritual graces on recipients. 3. In baptism, individuals are united with Christ's death and resurrection, signifying a new life in him. Romans chapter 6 verse 3 to 4. 4. The Eucharist nourishes and sustains believers' faith, fostering spiritual growth and a deeper union with Christ. John chapter 6 verse 53 to 56. Expressions of Christian identity. Sacraments are integral to Christian identity and fellowship. Baptism marks the initiation into the Christian community, signifying unity with Christ and fellow believers. Galatians chapter 3 verse 26 to 28. Some Christian denominations, such as Baptists and Evangelicals, believe in immersion baptism of adults who have committed their lives to Christ. Other denominations such as Presbyterians and Orthodox denominations believe that infants can be baptized, and by sprinkling rather than immersion in water. The Eucharist strengthens the bond among Christians, symbolizing their shared faith and participation in Christ's body, the Church. 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 16 to 17. Encounters with the sacred. Sacraments enable believers to encounter the sacred in the midst of the ordinary. Common elements like water, bread, and wine become vessels of divine grace, transcending their material nature to convey spiritual realities. Conclusion. Sacraments play a central role in the Christian faith, serving as outward signs of inner grace and God's presence in the lives of believers. Rooted in biblical narratives and teachings, sacraments hold deep significance as expressions of God's love, spiritual renewal, and Christian identity. Through the sacraments of baptism and the Eucharist, Christians participate in, and celebrate, God's redemptive work. These sacred rituals draw believers closer to God, fostering a deeper understanding of His grace and love, and uniting the Christian community in their shared faith and identity. As Christians engage in sacramental practices, we are invited to reflect on the profound truths these rituals convey, embracing the transformative power of God's grace and recognizing His ongoing work in our lives. Ultimately, sacraments serve as channels of divine encounter, guiding believers to a more profound experience of God's love and the transformative power of His grace. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and watch other videos on our channel.